Hi, Mdani.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I was actually wondering why is everybody is saying that today was sunny a bit, yet I felt the cold throughout the
Oh,
day.
really?
I think it's because I work from home. Most of the times I'm in the house,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Anyway, my name is Janet Machuka, and I'm a social media marketer, and I've been in this space for quite some time. I started in 2017. And in the space, what most of the people know me of is communities. I love communities. I love conversations with people, meeting new people, making new connections. And then what else do people know me of? I love training a lot on social media marketing, and I also love involving myself in the content creation world. By my type of content creation is more of copywriting, where I do content for brand pages and also for websites and blogs. At the same time, I love working on SEO most of the time. Something else is yeah, I run an agency, but most of the time I rarely share about it because we deal with small businesses where we give marketing services. It can be training, consultancy, and also sometimes we manage influencers for brands, especially those who are having campaigns on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. I know I haven't engaged so much with Azziad on the same, but I'm really looking forward to at least one of these fine days to work together with one of the clients if is going to give me that chance to work with you. Something else, yes, I'm an influencer. So I think I'm in the right space. I'm really looking forward to sharing more insights, more engagements. And hi, Gigi.
All right. So Janet Manze uko kwa hii industry ndani. You know your stuff really well.
Cartel.
So we're looking forward to hearing a lot from you. Also, we'll be looking for that juice from you as well. So I think we can now go to Azziad. Hey, Azziad, how you doing? Please tell us your name. Please tell us your name as well, and then also what do you do?
Hi everyone, my name is Azziad Nasanya. I'm a radio presenter, I'm a media personality, I'm an actress, and I'm a content creator. And and what else? Yeah, I'm that.
Awesome. As in, we're also looking forward to hearing about your journey and also when you content creator and Dani. So we're also expecting to hear from a lot of gems from you, a lot of insight from you as well, from your journey as well. And we appreciate you being here. And thank you so much for joining the space. I think we can go to Gigi now. Gigi is a guy who is the only guy in our panel today. So Gigi, please tell us your name and what do you do?
Thanks, Mathoni. My name is Gitin Jimwai, but people call me Gigi. I'm a digital account director at Oxygen Marketing Communications Limited. I've been in agency for about 7, 8 years or so. I've been working with influencers, I think, for the last um, 5 years or so. I stand to be guided, but yeah, I'd say I'm not an influencer. I tried it once or twice. I think I failed terribly at it. But I get to interact with lots of influencers, content creators, and key opinion leaders in various industries. And I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I get to be the person who gets to work with clients, recommend influencers to clients, come up with strategies for influencer marketings, and at the end of the day, show return on investment for what you're doing with influencers. Yeah, I think that's a brief description of what I do.
All right, Asante Sana Gigi. Thanks so much for making the time to be with us this evening. We appreciate you so much. We're also hoping to hear a lot of gems from you. I think we can now go to Yvonne. Hey, Yvonne, thank you so much for tuning in. Please tell us your name and what you do, kindly. I don't think I'm able to hear Yvonne. Can you hear Yvonne, Janet?
Not really.
Okay, so I think Yvonne, we can't hear you. Either you are on mute, or if you could leave and then join again. I think that would work. As well, I think Azziad as well has dropped off as well. Nitamtafuta nimwambie nimuulize kumendaji. However, I think we can start the space by asking this question: is there a difference between a content creator and an influencer? Janet, let's start with Janet.
Yeah, okay. When it comes to me on how I look at influencer marketer and content creator, I know an influencer can do content creation and a content creator can also be an influencer. But looking at how we usually approach them, we usually look at influencers as people who actually try to change the way people think, the way people feel about a brand, from the way they package their content. And also, most of the time, you find that influencers are well known. But I'm not saying that content creators are not known. And that is why sometimes it's very hard to define between who is an influencer and who is a content creator. For example, Azziad is a content creator. We know her first as a content creator, but also Azziad is an influencer. She creates content for brands, but her major is just creating content, of course, to entertain people, to talk about businesses, at the same time for her own use and her audience for fun basis. But at the same time, she can also influence where she closely works with brands, collaborates with them during the campaigns. We have seen quite a number of times she has engaged with brands in different campaigns. And that is what makes her a content creator, one, by just creating her own content to entertain her audience with the kind of niche that she loves. And at the same time, an influencer in regards of her influencing people to use certain products or to try out certain services from a particular brand. That's what I can say, Mudhani.
Thank you, Janet. I'd also want to ask the same question to Gigi. I would like to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Is there a difference between a content creator and an influencer?
Yeah, there's a big difference. I think I'll differ a bit with Azziad, because if you look at influencers, yes, they're content creators, but not all content creators can be influencers. However, content creators are also influencers. I hope I've not confused you guys. Let me take the simple example. I
You
work with
confuse me. You confuse me.
okay, content creators can be or can't be influencers. It can be either side. It's not a must they be influencers. For example, in the office, I work with people who create lots of content, but they're not influencers. They come up with videos. Either we are using it either for campaigns, either to give it out to clients, and so forth. These guys are content creators, but they're not influencers. For example, look for example at certain designers who do certain works for certain clients. They don't put out that work there as themselves as influencers, but they are known as content creators. So it can be either way. But mostly I know if you're an influencer, you must be a content creator because of that. Because before an influencer was maybe someone who had the numbers, someone who would push conversations, start conversations, and so forth. But right now, how the marketing scene is changing, you must be for you to be an influencer, you need to also come up with your own content.
All right. All right. So that's Gigi's take. I'd like to also hear Azziad's take. Do you think there's a difference between an influencer and a content creator?
I think I agree with Gigi, and the difference not so much. But I would say the focus of a content creator is to just like create content, like what I was doing before Tawezana came, and then I started influencing brands. I was just creating content without necessarily pushing any product or telling people to buy anything. I just did my dancing videos and whatever and vlogs, and so yeah, the focus for like a content creator is to create content, and an influencer normally advertises goods or services. And for like nowadays it is hard to just retain an audience as an influencer without entertaining the audience, because at the end of the day you can't just keep on advertising for products without being a content creator. So I think that the two kind of like need to go hand in hand together. They're different, but one needs the other to survive. So now we are just seeing content creators getting more influencer gigs as opposed to the other way around. And also like I feel like the approach is different. An influencer might simply just post a product or a service and just talk about it, asking people to use the product and stuff like that. But you need to know how to create the content in order to just incorporate it in your life as an influencer for it to be what is it called? For it to be convincible for the audience to actually go and use whatever you are advertising. I think that's my take.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Azziad. Well understood. Cornelius is saying influencers are content creators, but not all content creators are influencers. There's a thin line between the two. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Cornelius. Thank you for that addition as well. So I think now we can move on to the point about monetization, right? So here's the question: at what point do you realize that the audience that you've built for that long time is now monetizable, right? So I think I could ask Azziad. I can see Janet has a question. Janet, please go ahead.
Sure, it's not really a question, but I wanted to bring this aspect of influencing in. And I think most of the time people ask me, and it's very difficult to really explain that not all influencers actually are in the industry, especially on the social media spaces, for money. For example, now we have explained clearly that an influencer has to be working with brands, collaborating with brands so that they can talk about the products on their social media spaces. There's this category of influencers who are actually thought leaders. There's people who are known for particular industries. For example, if we say fashion experts, or we have people who love talking about finances most of the time on the social media. And most of the time, we actually don't look at them. They not really look at them. They don't usually work directly with brands to talk about their businesses on their behalf or products, but they are there on this space to actually guide people in a particular way, be it sharing knowledge with them or also telling them what is happening in the industry and what have we. So as much as we look at influencer marketing as a space where we have these individuals who are actually working directly with the brands, there are some who are in a category of thought leaders. They're not working with brands, but they are there to actually change the way people think about particular things or change the way the conversations, opinions are made about particular conversations.
Got you, Janet. I think we can talk about now the monetization bit. So I think we could ask the content creator on the panel: at what point did you realize that the audience that you had built, is now monetizable? Azziad.
So first of all, when it comes to monetizing, first of all, you go back to your role as a content creator. What is your role? Your role is to entertain your audience. I mean, if your audience is happy online, then I'm definitely happy. And a lot of the times, the monetization comes once you consistently make efforts to build your audience, consistently creating content online, and it is more of a byproduct than the end goal. If your goal is to make money because you have a large audience, then it is difficult to reach and sustain that goal. So once you have an audience already, with again creating content consistently, and you are consistent, you are consistent in creating your content, most times jobs just come looking for you. And this is because you will know what you're about. You will be able to define your audience, what they like and what they don't. With consistency, brands also just get to know what type of a person you are and if you are best for their marketing needs. And this is I think this is when brands will approach you, and also you can approach them, and that is when you realize that it is possible to just earn while still entertaining your audience. I think that's yeah, because when you speak of monetizing your content, I feel like, especially in Africa, okay, let me not use Africa. If you're not on YouTube, if you're not creating content on YouTube, then there's no other place you can monetize your content. It's only YouTube that pays you once you've monetized your content on the platform. But otherwise, for Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, mostly in Kenya, you just have to tegemea the brands approaching you and giving you gigs.
Right. Right, got you, Azziad. Got you, Azziad. So I just want us to talk about now from a client perspective, right? Now, and I'd like to bring in Gigi. So let's say you've been watching a content creator, you've been watching an influencer doing their stuff, and now, at what point do you realize that this person, you can actually approach this person? What goes into the thought process of approaching a particular influencer? Gigi.
Um, I think for what I've seen mostly with influencers on my end, let's say it's someone I want to work with. One thing I always try and do is I try and DM them from my personal account as opposed to maybe a client account. I I get to do that, one, to manage expectations, and also just to help, for me, just to understand what exactly they want to do maybe within that time. I'll take, for example, the case of George Kagwe. Yes, as much maybe as a brand we knew him, I just reached out to him. I told him, but what do you think you can do with this brand? Back then I was handling one of the leading telcos, and we told him this is what we want you to do, maybe come up with a script, and then we moved on. The other thing also is, at times maybe we don't just bounce on conversations, because not in a bad way. I think at times people get into stardom and they forget themselves. For example, you've seen someone has a good brand, and then now maybe they have good content, and then now they start doing some PR stunts just to get publicity. So also at times it's quite a dicey topic depending on what exactly we can do with them. For example, you can just reach out maybe to an influencer X, and then maybe in the next 2 3 weeks they're doing some PR stunts. Maybe they're trying to fight off with their partners and so forth. So there are various conversations we get to look at. But once we see someone, the good thing, I have quite a number of very supportive clients, given I'm at agency. We get to share with them. They say, watch out, the conversations. If it's something hot, client feels like, yes, we need to bounce on it. Do budgets align? Do their brand ethos in terms of what they believe in, what they stand for, align with the brand? Then yes, we get to reach out to them and we say, this is our budget, tell us what you can do on this. And also, just to mention it, at times what I've seen is, with most upcoming influencers, they're actually approaching brands more often for gigs, or maybe let's say for opportunities, as opposed to how it will happen maybe 5 6 years ago. It will be brands reaching out. So what I've seen nowadays is many upcoming young guys are actually reaching out to brands and telling them, hi, by the way, I'm here, this is my audience, I think we can work together. I hope I've answered you.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much, Gigi. I think I could ask the same question to Janet. Just from your perspective, at what point does a content creator realize that anyway I can make money from this gig? What do you think?
Personally, I have a totally different journey. And so sometimes I feel like the way we approach our audiences, the conversations and everything, vary on how we feel I am ready to now start working with brands. But what I feel is more of what kind of conversations are also you're having in your DM. For me, at first, it was very hard to know when do I start getting paid, because I started social media marketing and especially influencer marketing when I couldn't really understand exactly what is influencer marketing. I thought it was just about getting paid with airtime back in 2016, and then you just load your airtime and that's it. And so for me, at first, I can say figuring out when to start getting paid sometimes can be very hard, especially not knowing if you are influential already or you're not influential. But I think it should be more of a strategic plan that you have to put in place, where the kind of conversations, the kind of people that you are connecting with, you're engaging with, are people actually adding value to your space, and also are helping you to factor in that at the end of the day, I want to turn these presence, the content that I'm also creating, to a point that I can work with brands, I can collaborate with them, and that I can earn monetary value from it. So sometimes I feel it's not just about you garnering a lot of numbers. It's more of what kind of value you are giving. Where are you going to have these conversations? What kind of connection you are building, not just with your fellow content creators or influencers, but also people working behind these brands. And of course, the kind of value you are giving at the end of the day, from the conversations, from the community conversations you join, and from wherever you are. Because at the end of the day, people will realize you if you are a bit different from the rest of the influencers, from the rest of the content creators. So also the consistency bit that Azziad talked about. Are you really putting a lot of effort into the kind of conversations you're having, the kind of content you're creating and sharing? Because at the end of the day, people want to pay value for value. You can't do anything just to gain numbers and then wait for people to pay for value. Value is not just in numbers. It's actually in the content and the engagements you're creating. Yeah, sure. You can you can
Thank
take
you,
the mic.
Janet. All right, all right, all right. So I think we've had from Janet, we've had from our content creator on the panel, Azziad, and then we've also had from Gigi about at what point do you realize that the audience you've built is monetizable? For me, what I've gotten is I think the point where you know now you have value, right? Like the brands that you'll approach, there's value that you'll give them and there's value that they will give you as well, right? I think that's where I've gotten from all your answers, right? I think we can move on to now working with brands, right? So let's say now I'm now actively working with brands. The question here is there a one size fits all when it comes to influencer marketing for a brand? I think I could ask this question to Gigi. Remember, a lot of listeners now are largely in the content creator sector. So I know this question is, we all want to know, is there a one size fits all when I'm working with a brand, right? Gigi, what do you think?
Precise answer, no. For example, when you say a one size fits all, I believe you're talking of one rate cards and maybe strategy or maybe even how you approach a different campaign. Where I'm saying no is different clients will have different deliverables for each campaign. It can't always be a standard deliverable. So my take will be you have to understand one what the client wants. I know at times let me say on behalf of agencies and clients, at times we don't want the whole package. Maybe I just want two videos, maybe I just want two posts. So there's no one size fits all. You have to understand the brief. Also, I believe as an influencer, you have to understand how you price your deliverables. And not per se at per platform. At you're going to tell me at two posts you're going to charge me 50K, two tweets you're going to charge me 20K. No, it's for you to understand what is it that I can do at the end of the day to showcase value for this client. This could be like, yes, maybe I might commission you just for maybe six deliverables. I'm just thinking two videos, two posts, two stories, just an example. But as much as you've done these, how do you showcase value to client? Is it engagement? Is it impressions? Is it maybe even conversions? Is it even traffic to a particular site if client is looking for that? So for me, no, there's no one size that fits all. You have to be creative at the end of the day. And just to add on this, my biggest, let me call it fight with most influencers I get to work with, I look at their red cards. Yes, maybe times have changed. Maybe your red card has gone up from last year. But for me, I want to understand, yes, your pricing has gone up maybe 10, 20, 30, 50% up, but what value are you showcasing to client? Because also the other thing, with most client budgets that you have seen, actually budgets are actually reducing since COVID happened in terms of spending on influencers. So if you're not able to demonstrate, like you said, this is the value I'm bringing at the end of the day, um, you're not going to be able to secure that bug. And just to mention it out there, the number of influencers, the number of followers you have as an influencer, that's not value. For me, value is what you do that aligns to the brand. And I'm not saying it in a rude way. It's because if if one thing just to understand from a digital marketing perspective. Let's say I want to work with influencer X who has 2 million followers. In the back end, with the digital team, I can still target your audience that has that. I can still target your audience and get to reach out to your 2 million influencers. Maybe in terms of, I just want engagement, I want reach. That's what I'm trying to push at the end of the day. But what you create as an influencer, as content, as maybe even, for example, memes, tweets, and polls, that's the unique content that you bring on the table at the end of the day. That's what will make you stand. I hope I've answered you.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much for that. Very, very detailed answer. I'd like to bring in Azziad, and I'd like to ask you, what is an ideal client for you? What does an ideal client look like for you?
Okay, what does an ideal client look like for me? I think at the end of the day, if you're a client and you're approaching Azziad as a brand to work with you on a certain campaign, um okay, wow, that is a huge one, but okay, fine. You're approaching hey Uluya. Anyway, you're approaching Azziad to come and work for you, or rather, because I'm grateful to God. I don't take it for granted that 97% of my jobs are more or less approached by clients. So I really appreciated that all the people that I've worked with till now are people who've done a background check. They know when they're coming to Azziad what exactly they need out of me. Yes, I've gotten a few clients here and there who are not really sure what deliverables they're looking for to get from my end, of which at the end of the day we get to a mutual agreement. However, an ideal client for me is somebody who comes with a brief, knows exactly what they want, to also avoid this back and forth of reshooting and stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, if there's a reshooting mistake, then if there's a mistake that needs to be shot, we'll definitely do it. But it is also amazing to just know somebody who has a clear picture, who has a clear brief of what exactly they want, gives me exact timelines to work with, because I don't want to wake up. Yes, we've signed a contract today, and then we wake up tomorrow, you're like, I need a video right now. You see, that is also just what is it called? That is also just getting me off guard and not allowing me to think in my creative space. And also just a client who lets you think in your creative space and lets you understand your audience better, because there are sometimes you'll get clients who, I tell my client, my audience works better from noon till 8:30, but you find this client insists me to post at 7. I mean, of course, client is always right, I'm gonna do that, but I'm just advising you as the person who has the platform. Also, just when our values align, it makes every single person's work easier, because you understand me, I understand you, we get a mutual agreement, I do the job, you pay me, everyone's happy. Yeah.
Got you. Oops, there's an echo on my end, Pole. Got you, Azziad. You've understood an ideal client for you. I'd like to just hear from Janet. How, or rather, who, or rather, how? Yeah, how would an ideal client brand relationship be like for you?
For me, first, I look at it from the point of, do you really understand my brand guidelines? Do you know what I can do and what I cannot? And I like the fact that Gigi mentioned that for them to actually get to reach out to an influencer or a content creator, they will actually take time to analyze what kind of conversations do they have, how do they engage with their audiences. If you can check them through within a month, you can actually tell what they love talking about, what they love being engaged in, the kind of conversations. So for me, I feel like the client should have already done the background check, and remember that Azziad mentioned that, and at least to know exactly what do I do, how do I do my conversations, what time do I do it? How do I share my content? Because, sometimes What I feel where the disconnect comes in is when a brand comes with, you have a good strategy, that's okay. But you can't force the strategy to be on Janet's page when you know very well these people don't consume content in that manner. For instance, you say you have very good posters and you want me to post posters from Monday to Monday, and maybe you want to do 2 tweets in a day. Like maybe that's not the way I do. So it's more of people who actually take their time to have a conversation with me. I understand you have a brief, that's fine. But do you actually get a chance to take me through the brief so that we can have a conversation and agree? Just by the fact that I said the brief doesn't align with some of the things that I want to see doesn't mean we can't actually have a conversation and iron out some things. And then something else I look at is, of course, the freedom to create something. The reason why you're reaching out to me, it's because I understand my audience better. Otherwise, if you understand it better than I do, I would rather just hand over my account, and then after you're done with the job, you give me my account, you give it back to me. So he or she needs to really understand that this is how my audience operates, and this is the kind of freedom I want. It's okay to have the guidelines that will actually help me know what to actually say or not to say about the brand, but at least give me the freedom to engage with people freely, to package my content in a way that I understand people will love it and people will engage it. Because at the end of the day, we all want to see engagements out of the content that we create. We don't want to create amazing content. You are being paid thousands of money and then nothing comes out of it. It's embarrassing sometimes. It degrades some of the content creators and influencers, and be like, oh my God, this client will never work with me. Because at the end of the day, we also want to look at it from the point of, we are not just here to help you create the content and share. We want to build a relationship with you and with your prospects. That's it, Mubeni.
Thank you, Janet. Remember, we are exactly at the top of the hour. It's 8:06 at the moment. If you have just joined in, thank you so much for tuning in. We are having a conversation about pricing, influencer, and content creator services. I know a lot of you guys who have joined in are content creators in your own rights. We appreciate you guys. We'll be having a Q&A session at 8:15 p.m. or, depending on the conversation. So prepare your questions. If you have a question you've been meaning to ask Janet, if you have a question you've been meaning to ask Azziad, if you have a question you've been meaning to ask Gigi, you could also be preparing that question. If you also have a contribution you'd like us to hear from you, we will also give you that opportunity. This is a Twitter space. We have these conversations for you guys. Ideally it's for you guys, right? So I think we can now hear from Gigi's perspective. When you're looking for a content creator, how would an ideal relationship look like? Gigi.
For me, an ideal relationship starts from a point of communication. I'm sorry to say this, but I get to judge people a lot from how they talk. It could either be through the influencer or content creator or through the manager. Like, is it someone who's willing maybe to work with that brand at that particular moment? And also how people get to respond to various brands. At times, from my work experience, I've seen I'm managing one brand, maybe a well-renowned brand, and maybe a not a well-renowned brand, and you ask an influencer for something X using from a point of a well-renowned brand, they're easy to respond. They even come up with strategies and so forth. But if it's not a well-renowned brand, you find like people are just like stepping off. I understand maybe you're like, will they afford me? Will they be able to pay me? Will we be able to work out on this? So if communication is not smooth at first, I get to be quite put up. I get to be let me say disappointed at first, maybe if I'm working with someone, because any point I'm reaching out to any influencer, I've already seen the potential for you. And it's not only just about securing the bag at the end of the day, it's about you to do work with that brand and for you even to get more gigs with other brands. If I always tell people, if you succeed, and because I worked with you the first time, I'll always be happy and proud of you. And let me just take an example. I know I've worked with Mutinda, Mutinda, Magunga. For me, I am proud every other day when I see the work Mutinda and Magunga do. I started with Mutinda only when he was on Twitter mostly. But now when you look at Mutinda in terms of the content that he does, he's evolved away from, yes, he'll always do Twitter and so forth. But if you look now, he's venturing into video content. Why? Times are changing. We are all evolving to people who are consuming more video content. I'm not saying that being an influencer on Twitter is a bad thing. Look at Magunga. Magunga was writing a lot, but also he saw a very big opportunity on using video content, and this is content now which you can put across. So definitely, it's working with someone who's visionary, someone who's understanding the brand, and someone also who's keen on getting opportunities any other time. And I'd say something unique that I've noticed is at times we get to work with influencers. Yes, we have budgets at times we don't have. Influencers at times actually get to approach us and tell us, but hey, I know maybe you don't have a budget for this, but we can agree. I'll do this for you as an add-on, but next time maybe if you have a campaign, I'll maybe expect to get I'll get maybe to get a paid gig out of it. And I've seen it working on and off. So also if someone is, I'd say, mature, someone who understands where the brand is, for me, that's the ideal person I'll definitely work with from time to time.
All right, thank you for that, Gigi. I think we could bring in Azziad now, and I know you've mentioned that a lot of the brands that you work with usually approach you first, but the question is, how can as a content creator, how can I position myself to be able to work with brands? What do you think, Azziad? What advice would you give, or what pointers would you give to someone who would want to work with influencers and would rather want to work with brands? How would you tell them to position themselves?
Number one, when it comes to working with brands, you don't have to have 100,000 followers. You don't have to have 20,000 followers. I've seen a lot of people working with the brands, even if they have 2,000 followers, because I've met a lot of people who are always asking me, Azziad, do you have to have a certain following for you to be able to be a content creator? I'm like, no, as long as you have a smartphone, you are on Facebook, you are on social media platforms. It means you can reach out to anyone and any brand you want to work with, as long as you just make sure that your content is clean. By clean content, I mean make sure you wipe your camera and have good lighting, create content, find your niche, find what is it exactly that you like doing. Do you like sports? Are you a fashion person? Are you someone who can do everything? Because when you do that, it's easier for you to approach brands and tell them, okay, fine, I'm approaching so and so because I've found you guys create clothes and I want to do clothes and my content is around clothes or stuff like that. Or okay, I'm approaching Maybelline because I am look at my content, I create a lot of makeup content and stuff like that, and I would want to work with you. So I think it's just about you knowing yourself as a brand, understand where do you want to be, what do you want to do. And also I would say a management bit. And this is a part whereby this is a bit whereby a lot of the people in the industry are finding it hard, or rather they take it as rude when somebody brings it up. Personally, I got a manager even before utawezana. A lot of people were always saying, oh, amejulikana tu juzi na nataka kupata manager. No, when I finished my Form 4, I joined theater. And that is when I met my manager. And he was like, you know what, you have good talent, so I need to tap into it. And that is when he signed me. At the moment, I didn't even understand what he was saying until few months after that. I got another gig. He came and negotiated and done in that way. So by the time utawezana was coming, I was already prepared with a management, with a legal team, with a financial advisor team. Yes, I was not making a lot of money, but they were just there. They were just advising me. Also just having people in the back of your corner, because when it comes to the content creation space, or rather the online space, there are a lot of people who are just waiting there to just take advantage of you. You might sign something that is not, you might overlook something, you might end up signing something, you might end up overquoting or underquoting, which is not good. You might end up not understanding some clause in the contract. So you need people in your circle. You need people to be there to just help you understand these things and also to guide you. It does not have to be at your manager who's
who's a big manager or somebody. You just need to find someone in the industry, someone who's your friend, or you can even find your big sister or your dad or your uncle or your brother, because that is one thing that I have learned. Having a manager always and a management team always saves you from a lot. The role of just, bringing in experts to who can help drive the conversation to the clients, even if you are approaching. It looks even more professional that way, because when you look at these brands, let me use an example of Maybelline. It's not the owner of Maybelline who always looks for me to come and work with them. No, it's always the people he has employed to work with. So even you, if somebody, it's just more professional, and also positions you as a brand in a better place, especially when it comes to negotiating contracts and also just approaching brands. I would say that.
Asante sana, Azziad. Thank you so much for that insight. I think I could ask the same question to Janet. How do you position yourself to work with brands, Janet?
Great. First, let me applaud Azziad for amazing insights. Thank you for that. So, to add on what she has said, sometimes I feel like we forget about the relationships we build with people and just focus on just creating and creating and creating. We forget that actually people are the ones who refer us to jobs. So take time to actually build these relationships, find communities, be part of them, especially the communities that speak to the kind of audience that you want to talk to, the kind of brands that you want to work with, so that you can build a relationship of, I want people to remember me because I'm part of this, and then I want people to recommend me because I'm also giving them a chance to learn that I am in for this, for the value, and not just for the money. And this is something I remember the last time we had a conversation with my friend of mine, and she kept on saying, sometimes we think it's just about sitting or doing your best from your end so that people can see you and refer you. And we forget we have to actually teach people to refer us. But how can you go about teaching these people if you're not there, if you're not giving them your time, if you're not showing them that this is my value, this is what I can do. And guys, this is what I want from you. This is what I would like you to do to me, or blah, 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 and such. And then something else we usually forget is, we look at ourselves as competitors when we are in one room, or as content creators, as influencers, and then we forget, one person, top people from there that you can build a relationship to be friends can actually help you get another job or a job that you have been eyeing. So be free with that. Create relationships. Don't look at yourself as competitors. And that is why I like it when I see people who feel like, oh, today I'm too handful. I have a lot of clients already. I have a competitor as one of the brands who reached out to me. They are already my clients. I signed the contract. Why not try so and so? So how can you make your fellow influencers, your fellow content creators actually give you a chance that they would have actually taken, but they didn't because they have another client? Build those relationships. It's all about building the bridges and also making people realize, what, we are here to win, all of us, not just one person. That's what I can add, Mudhoni.
Asante sana, Janet. Thank you so much for that insight as well. Remember, guys, you can also ask your questions. We'll definitely give you an opportunity to ask a question, or if you have an addition or a contribution to the conversation of today, we'll gladly allow you to speak. All you need to do is just send me a request to speak, and I'll be allowing you to speak. I think now we can hear from Gigi, and there's a lot of content creators here. What advice would you give them in terms of positioning themselves to work with brands? Gigi.
Oh, thank you, Matoni. Good pointers by Janet and Azziad. I'll actually go back to the point of creating relationships. Something funny enough, Janet used to work for a competitor a while back, but I could see her potential. Actually, even I think 2 months or maybe a month back, we've already worked with her as an influencer for one campaign that I think we just ended a while back. So, how you position yourself at any point. I know of influencers who come for events. They'll just maybe even just DM me and just tell me, by the way, I just want to come for this event. And I've seen people who actually get to pitch up for themselves at events and just come to you and tell you, by the way, this is what I'm working on. This is where I need your support. there's a big difference. I know it cannot work out for everyone, but there's a big difference in you coming to me face to face and telling me this is what you want. At times also as agency, as maybe even in partnership with clients, we get to host what I'd call maybe social meetups. Maybe it's a drink up, maybe it's just coffee, maybe it's a breakfast session. I know we used to do this a lot before Corona happened, and it was an opportunity where we'll actually meet with people. They'll get to even talk to you about even small projects they're doing. And I've seen this helping a lot even for clients who, for example, have foundations who are doing um, CSI or CSR activities. People come and they say, by the way, this is what I'm doing in my hometown. Do you think you can chip in? And they actually even just to do a shameless plug for one of our clients, Safaricom Foundation, at the moment is doing called for proposals for Ndoto Zetu. And I've seen actually even influencers whom we are working with get to fill up those forms. And I tell them, you just fill it in. I'm not part of the committee that's going to look at it, but don't worry, we never know if it's a yes, it's good for you. If it's a no, maybe try out and maybe learn more from it. The other thing is emerging with trends. And one thing I'm seeing mostly in UK, US, and South Africa markets, given I also get to read a lot about those markets, it's partnership content. Let's say, is it Azziad, Janet coming together? Excuse me, and doing content together, and not just a one-off. Maybe is it a series, and even this is going to give you more leverage. It's going to give you more engagement, more impressions, and even at the end of the day, you're able to deliver. Is it also, does this also mean the two influencers, even three or four, they get to partner and they have one proposal to client, they have one budget to client. You've all come back, you've all worked on separate ideas, but have one there to client. It's going to put you in a better place also in terms of budgeting. Um, the other thing is be apt to say yes or no to a brand if they align with your influencers or not. I think I'll go back to what Azziad said. There may be clients who want you to post at 7:30. I think for me, as an influencer, as a content creator, given you understand your audience, push back. Tell client by the way, if I post at 7:30, there'll be no engagement. E-tweet, e-post itakunywa maji. There is no need of doing that. Post when you know your audience is going to be interacting with your content. So also as a content creator, you're an advisor also to the people you're working with. Don't just follow everything blindly. Come back, tell them, by the way, I did this campaign with brand X 2 3 months down the line. This is what I learned. I believe for you this campaign to be better, I believe these are the 2 3 steps that you need to take up to. The other thing is in terms of materials. Um, I know I get to read a lot from a platform called WARC. It's a platform, I know it's paid for by the organization, but it's a platform where I get to read a lot and understand what's happening outside other markets. For example, right now, if you look at Egypt and South Africa, I believe Snapchat and TikTok have opened the advertising platforms there, and soon they're going to be coming to Kenya. I believe Snapchat has, but TikTok not yet. As an influencer, how are you looking at these platforms? What is it that you can do differently? Yes, it's going to still be within your content. I'm not saying you change how you do your content to fit within all the platforms. And don't get me wrong, you can be on only one platform and still secure the bag. You can just be on TikTok, you can just be on YouTube and just secure the bag at the end of the day. But it's how your brand gets to align with you. Um, the other thing is understanding, if I'll say maybe for me it's I get to understand how the brand works. I know in February there's campaign X, in March there's campaign Y. As a content creator, have you been looking out and saying, let's say um in September there's a football tournament which is going to be led by company X. How does my brand align to it? Maybe 3 months time there'll be a golf tournament. How can I align my fashion, my content or maybe everything I do to this brand and showcase what I can do for them for that campaign. So I'd say a bit of intelligence. Just do some research. For example, with brands. Let's say we are moving to the last quarter, and just a heads up, most companies are going to be closing their budgets in October. So this is the time for you to be reaching out to agencies or clients and pitching up your ideas before October. Like what is it that's going to make you stand? Do you even come up to client and say, by the way, I saw your campaign that you did last year for February. There is no harm in long-term planning. Believe me, come up, showcase to people. Walk up to agencies, ask them by the way, which new clients do you have? What is it that you're working on that maybe do you think I can work on? And at times, like I think Azziad or Mothoni or Janet said, it's not always about the monetary value at the end of the day, but showcasing your value to you. And I know of people, maybe we have worked with them twice or thrice, and then maybe when you're doing the report, client says, by the way, embed person's X video into the report. I want to showcase it. And then it becomes a thing. Client says, by the way, even before this campaign starts, I want this person briefed. By the time this campaign is starting, I want them to be on board. How you market yourself, how you put out yourself to be seen out there is quite a very important thing. And the other thing to influencers, I'll advise you is be on the lookout for various campaigns. I know it doesn't mean if you see a campaign has started, there is no opportunity. I know of people who uh jump on the bandwagon, let's say even halfway, and they give us a proposal, and you're like, wow, this is someone whom we missed out to. Budgets may align, budgets may not align, but let's say if any of you are asking maybe for 200,000, just an example, and the client tells you, no, we don't have this, maybe we have 75, we have 100, what can you do? Don't let such opportunities go if, like I'm saying, if the brand aligns to with your influencers and what you do. The other thing is when you're coming to the table, come with insights. Tell people, by the way, like I mentioned earlier on, this is going to work, this won't work. Those are some of the key things that clients want to hear. Because the other thing, I believe I'll call you an expert within your audience. You understand your audience much better than we do. We are only able to see the insights, maybe the conversations, engagements, and so forth, given you get to track that. But maybe you can come up with insights and say, by the way, there is this small community of people, maybe within, sorry, maybe from, let's say, Lamu, they get to interact with my content mostly from 6 to 9 p.m. Maybe it's during Ramadan. Come and tell us, by the way, I think for Ramadan, we can do this activity, 1, 2, 3. It can even be a simple thing as an activation. That's one thing that's going to be keeping you, it's going to give you top of mind awareness for the agency and also for the client. Matoni?
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Gigi. If there's anything I've picked up is that clients are closing their markets in October, if that's what you said, and if you're planning to send any proposal, you should be doing that before like October if you can answer. So
Okay, let me clarify.
So thank you so much
Let
for
me
that.
clarify.
Gigi, are you saying something?
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm just saying, let me clarify. What happens is, I know most client quarters is going to, actually September, October is when now maybe departments are going to be given budgets. Maybe is it marketing? Is it maybe PR comms and so forth? So this is the time now they're going to be getting budgets maybe for the next 1 year, because you'll find that many companies start their Q1 in October, November, December. Yeah, that's Q1 for many companies, but others also it could be all the way in December. But this is the time to reach out before budgets are closed out. It could be just an open idea which you could be giving out to brands. It doesn't need to be maybe a product or a service to a certain brand. It could be something out of the box. That's one thing I need to clarify. And it's not for all clients, but for majority of the clients we work with. That's a trend I've noticed.
All right. So I also have another question. So let's say I want to work with a client for for Valentine's, right? How far in advance should I have sent in my proposal, or should I have reached out to Gigi?
I believe start the conversation mid-January. At least by the second last week of January, you already have a plan with you. Come maybe the first week of February, maybe you're shooting your content. Come Valentine's Day, you're posting. I believe that's a good time frame.
Got you. Thank you so much. So I think you've talked about a few trends. You've mentioned about trends. I think I could ask this question to Janet. What do you think are some of the trends influencers and content creators should look out for in 2022?
Oh, wow. I'm a very big fan of community. And I usually scream community everywhere since 2018. So one major trend I think every influencer should look out is communities. Not just about the community you're creating on your pages, but other communities which are available. I'm not talking about Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm talking about smaller communities like niches, like this Twitter space where we're having this conversation, so that you can be part of it. You can also give yourself a chance to be known, to be recognized, to also, request for the mic to speak up, share your opinion, ask a question so that people can know you. So communities for me is a major, major, major key trend every influencer should look out to, because it's not only trying to give you a chance to learn from what other people are doing, to share your insights, but also experience that journey with other people. Something else is, of course, the content creation bit, where we are going now, the more videos. I know we have been talking videos over and over again, but now we'll have to do more of personalization of the videos, making them feel like we are not just speaking to everybody, we are speaking to one person. And also we are adding that those CTAs, those conversations, because that is one thing that is going to drive how our content is going to be shared, how our audience is going to come back and watch our videos over and over again. And this is something that I've been loving from Esther Kazungu. Hi, Esther. I love reading your Instagram posts. And I think that is one trend that is going to happen in the next few years. People will love to see what is in the caption, not just hashtags for the sake of using hashtags, but actually hashtags that can actually tell somebody a story. So I love the way you use that, Esther. Congratulations. Good job. I love watching that. So we have to be on the look. And, sometimes we feel like influencers as content creators, it's all about waiting for the trends to come from the Western world so that we can adopt them and make them our trends. We can actually create our own trends. So whichever idea that you have seen other people, other influencers coming up with, trying to use it, kindly try also to use it, to adopt it to your strategy, to your content, because you never know. One thing I like about social media, it's so dynamic. You can't say like, this is what I'm going to do in the next 1 month. So be on the lookout.
Asante sana, Janet. I'd also like to ask the same question to Azziad, but before Azziad gets onto the mic, I think we can talk to Yvonne. Yvonne, you could say hi to us. Manze, umekuwa
Hi.
MIA.
I
Umekuwa
know.
MIA.
I've been in traffic trying to get home so I could do this because I didn't have my headpiece. Remember, I sent you a message telling you I might not be able to tune in today because my schedule was so packed and you asked me last minute. But I am glad that I'm here. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all well. I've tried my best to listen in. I think I've missed out on a lot. But yes, hello, everybody.
All right. Yvonne, you haven't introduced yourself. What do you
I
do?
am a Kenyan singer, songwriter, performing artist. Yes, that's who I am.
Asante sana. And we started with the space by asking, or rather differentiating between an influencer and a content creator. And what do you think? Do you think an influencer is a content creator? Can a content creator be an influencer? What's your take on that, Yvonne?
I think both can be each, but both are also very different. the difference is a content creator can be either in the limelight or behind the scenes, where an influencer is the image of part of what they're influencing. They're needed to influence whatever it is, whether it's a brand, whether it's a place, whether it's a product. But a content creator can create behind the scenes, and you could actually never really know who they are. So, but there are a lot of these days, there are a lot of people who are both content creators and influencers as one.
Right.
I think I've answered that.
Right. And just another question: How has your experience been working with brands? Because you are in the music space, right? How has that been?
Well, I think we're doing as best as we can in our country. You know, I think there's room for a lot of improvement, because I've noticed from a lot of influencers that I personally know and some that I don't know, but I've ran through their spaces, that a lot more needs to be appreciated towards them and their hard work. A lot more needs to be put in financially, because it takes a lot to be an influencer. It takes a lot to be a brand. You know, there's different parts of influencing. There's, for example, you can be a brand and you're not an influencer, because an influencer is more versatile in the sense they can be anywhere and everywhere. Whereas a brand, it depends who you are and what partakes with your brand, and certain things work with your brand and other things don't, you know. But all in all, I feel like there's a lot of lineage that's been taken on to the quality that is supposed to be given to everybody that is in the influential space or the creativity space. I feel like people are not being paid what they are due, and a lot of people are being played out, and there's a lot of demand for a certain quality and a certain quantity that's supposed to be given. And when the influencer or the brand or even the content creator delivers, they either get played out or they're not paid what their value is. Now, of course, when you're starting off your career and you're starting off in this space, it takes a lot of connections and time and connectivity for you to get moving and for you to get seen. Regardless, there are people who get seen overnight, which is amazing for them. But then a lot of people, it is a journey. And from many people from my personal journey, because I came into the industry before social media, or rather when there was High Five and when Facebook was at its prime, before Instagram tapped in and Snapchat and TikTok. And I've watched it grow, you know. But then there's a lot of people you would see that would blow up overnight, and then there are other people who would blow up overnight but have been working towards it for a long time. And I just feel disappointed that in today's day and age, Kenya being the cosmopolitan country of East Africa and Nairobi being the cosmopolitan city of East Africa, that we're still playing this game between people who are hiring content creators and not paying them their due. It's actually quite painful, because you're wondering, okay, everything's going up, but how come our salaries are not going up? How come we're not being paid more, yet the demand is high in the content creation? So I feel like we're doing well, but there's so much more that needs to be done. And I feel like at this point, the amount of content creators and influencers I've seen played out in the industry and hurt badly because people haven't paid them their due, something has to shift. Whether people have to figure out, this is one thing I always tell everyone: if you're going to do anything in the space of a job, make sure there is some form of a written contract. Because this word of mouth, as much as you want to trust someone, as much as they seem trustable or they worked with so and so before and paid so and so, you never know what could happen to you, and you never know what situation they could end up in and what it would result for you at the end of the day. Don't work with favorism when it comes to business. Always make sure that you have a contract out there so that you can avoid being played, because at the end of the day, hiring lawyers and trying to get to courts and trying to do all of this, it will drain you more than the outcome of what you would have been paid in the first place. So the best thing I can advise is, even if you're a startup person in the influential world, or you're starting to create content and stuff, key number one is you are powerful, you have a value. Always remember that you don't work for free. People come to you to take your work because they want your work. Even if it's still young, it's still not as the professionals, but someone has asked you to deliver. something for them. So at the end of the day, that means that there is value in who you are and what your your production is in content creation or influencership. So always make sure that you just have a contract. I know a lot of people, when you start up, everybody goes through this, where you do a few free jobs and stuff because you want to reach a certain level, you want to get the connections and learn more and just mingle more. But then it reaches a point when you start charging. Don't lose faith in who you are, and don't do anything without a contract, because I'm telling you, if you want to get played, that is the fastest way to get played. If you want to be cautious and just make sure that you make your money wisely, make sure that you have a written contract.